we're live. And in honor of going live, with, might I say, our lovely camera.
Yeah, I was going to say, people can see me now.
People can see you now, and they can see me.
Is that
and I
fan
think
on low? Got to point it at the fan. Okay, it isn't low. I was just making sure.
Are you sure they won't be able to hear the fan?
I don't know.
Let's just be safe. Let's just be safe, okay? We want you guys to have the best viewing and listening experience, and if that means turning off the camera, or the fan,
that's what we'll do.
We'll do that.
We'll sacrifice.
The fan interrupted me from hitting the magical.
That felt amazing in my ears.
You're welcome. The bell, which it's been a while since the bell has made an appearance.
It honestly has.
And it's mostly my fault.
You're the one with the bell.
Because I'm the one with the bell. The soon-to-be, hopefully, iconic bell.
Yeah, hopefully. It's iconic to us.
It's iconic to us, and that's all that matters, really.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll point out before we jump into the fabulous movie of the day, the movie episode of the week, is our lovely set.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back with the set. And obviously, you can see it now because you have the camera.
Yeah.
But we've added a few things. TJ, what exactly have we added to our collection? As Thanos would say, this will make I'm going to butcher the quote, but this will make a fine addition to my collection. Basically is what he says.
Yeah. As you see, we simplified the pops. Not much going on there.
Yeah. So we have Qui-Gon fighting a xenomorph over here.
Yeah.
Who do you think would win? Qui-Gon or a xenomorph? Probably Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the Force.
He has a laser sword.
Yeah, he has a laser sword, but he also has the Force.
Yeah. He has a sword that can cut through practically anything.
He does, but don't underestimate the power of the xenomorph.
Yeah, I mean, if it can fight a predator, it can fight a Jedi.
Okay, I will say this though. Let's say Qui-Gon was in the setting that, I don't want to spoil Aliens or anything, but okay, let's just say
Aliens.
Okay, let's just say Qui-Gon was at the end of Aliens when all the xenomorphs are together.
Yeah, is it
attacking?
Is it just one or is it many?
No, it's many. If Qui-Gon was fighting that many xenomorphs, who would Qui-Gon come out alive at once? He's the only one. I don't think so.
I think it depends on the circumstances.
It depends on the circumstances, but I mean, they always do the thing in movies, right, where the logical thing would be every creature or human attacking an individual at once, but that never happens in movies because the character wouldn't live, whatever character that may be. So
only John Wick. I ask you, TJ, I need to know this. This is important. There's no way we're gonna get to our movie of this episode unless you answer this question. Okay.
If the amount of xenomorphs that were at the end of Aliens, if that group attacked Qui-Gon relatively all at once, I mean, it doesn't have to be all at once. It could be 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there. Would Qui-Gon make it out alive?
I mean, he could. I could see it. I think it'd be iffy. He might get a few limbs, kind of ka-chowed, but... Yeah,
I think... It's tough.
I think it depends, I think it depends, how many there are at once, and, if you're in more of a tunnel setting, or you're more in a big open room.
Yeah.
If you're in a big open room, I think you could chow a bunch at once, but...
Right. Well, that's the thing. What he has going for him is ultimately the Force, because he can push a bunch of them all at once.
The Force, and then, like a laser sword.
Right, but I mean, if he just had the laser sword, I would say he would have. I would say he would lose.
Yeah. Within minutes, he'd be ka-chowed.
Yeah, but since he has the Force, that's a good point. With the Force, he can group up a whole bunch of them and just... Okay, fine, Qui-Gon wins. That was less interesting than I thought it would be, but whatever.
Logic.
Anyway, so we have some new Funkos over here. These guys are the same. We got our boy Sean Connery. The name's Bond. James Bond. And we have... Did you like my... I wasn't going to try a British accent. That would have just gone terribly. I just kind of went all stern on us, which
Works too.
It works.
Yeah.
And we have the lovely Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Birds of Prey. Love to see it.
We do.
And then we got a bunch of movies here as well.
Got a bunch of movies, some of our favorites, some very iconic films. I'm currently on an Apocalypse Now high, as TJ is very much aware of.
Yeah.
So I had to include this one. That's why we have 2 war movies in here. 2 war movies. We wanted to get a variety. So we got a TV show. We got basically the greatest cooking movie, just movie in general of all time.
Yeah.
In Lodge, Dutch Oven Cooking Basics with Diane Thomas.
Yeah.
Which I'm convinced that when David Lynch and Robert Frost... Or no, not Robert Frost. What am I talking about?
Mark Frost?
Mark Frost. Yeah, Robert Frost is...
He's a writer.
Yeah, he's a writer.
He's a poet. Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Okay, anyway... when they were writing Twin Peaks, I'm pretty sure when Coop was like Diane or whatever on the recorder.
Talking about Diane Thomas.
He's talking about Diane Thomas. Because Diane Thomas, I think this was made in the
80s?
80s, I want to say.
It must be.
I'm going to guess 80s. Anyway.
Does it not say on there?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, but it's a thing. Yeah, we got Twin Peaks here, because we love Twin Peaks.
Love Twin Peaks.
We got Fargo.
I think when we rank our favorite movies of all time, as if we average it out, our highest one together would probably be Twin Peaks. Like if we looked at both
shows?
Yeah, that we share.
Yeah.
Like if we shared our rankings of television shows, our 2 highest averaged out that we both share like in common would be probably Twin Peaks.
Yeah, Twin Peaks, Seinfeld would be up there.
Oh, that's true. I think we both are under the consensus that it's the greatest sitcom of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we might share like 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, but mainly those 2.
Friends is kind of up there.
That's true. We both really do like Friends.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, anyway, I'm pretty sure when they were writing the show, they thought, Diane
Thomas.
That Coop is talking to, that Cooper's talking to, it's Diane Thomas. Eventually, we find out it's not Diane Thomas, and I strictly think that's because Diane Thomas probably is dead by the time they make Twin Peaks The Return, and so they can't use Diane Thomas, plus she's too old.
Yeah.
That's just my, sort of fan fiction or theory. My interpretation. TJ, what would you rank that out of 10? My deep analysis there of
the deep analysis.
My theory.
A solid 8.
All right, I respect. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll take it. But as you were saying, TJ, we have all these.
Yeah, we have Twin
Ones.
Peaks. We love it. I mean, it's Twin Peaks. How could you not?
So, I mean, as far as television shows that have that cinematic
feel,
Twin Peaks is up there.
Oh, yeah.
Twin Peaks, Miami Vice is kind of the OG to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Mann produced that. What a guy.
King.
What other ones? X-Files has that as well. There's several.
Yeah.
And especially in the 2000s, you get a lot of those shows. Or not a lot, but you get some more in that collection. But
yeah. We got Fargo by the Coen brothers, which is certified banger comedy. We got Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mm-hmm. Big deal.
My absolute favorite superhero movie.
Yeah, TJ. I'm waiting for one of our 3 listeners to jump out of a bush and attack you because of your No Way Home comments.
Yeah, but my absolute love for this movie and think that it's absolutely a cinematic genius.
But you understand why it's up here, correct?
Yes,
okay.
I understand why it's up here, and I like the movie.
Right.
It's just I think people overhype it to the ends of the earth.
And you have good logic in that statement, yes.
Yeah. Apocalypse Now.
Yes. We don't need to say anything. It's literally one of the greatest war movies of all time.
Yeah. 12 Angry Men, which certified banger.
What I love so much about 12 Angry Men is it really introduced me to how incredible dialogue is.
Yeah.
And how much dialogue can carry a film by itself.
Yeah.
It literally there's only 2 scenes in that movie. Or two set
settings,
pieces.
Yeah.
It's literally for 5 seconds when they're in the courtroom.
Yeah, there's the courtroom, and then there's like the room itself, which is like 2 little rooms because it's like the round table room, and then there's like a little bathroom.
Right,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the same things for me, where it's like it's one of those movies that really introduced like truly just like how far writing can go, like that, and I think Before Sunrise, very different kinds of things.
Right.
Where one is more kind of like romantic kind of feel writing. That's more of like a more thriller kind of writing where it's like it has more stakes to it, which I think is really cool. But there's no action to it. It's all talking, which is really cool.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, we got It's Mad, 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 Mad World.
I love this theory that Quentin has that I've shared with you, TJ.
Oh my God.
He talks about it on a very popular podcast called The Rewatchables, where Nolan was inspired by It's a Mad, 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 Mad World to write Dunkirk because of how the timelines break off and come together with all these different characters, which, honestly, his logic makes sense. I think we both agree. Like, technically, there is logic to his claim.
Yeah.
And I love, that's why, so It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, not only is it up here because we need a comedy, well, we have Fargo, but this is a true comedy.
Yeah.
Where this is more dark comedy. It's oddly cinematic for a comedy as far as a grand scale, especially, the establishing shots in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And other things of that nature. It's truly, when people say they don't make movies like they used to, I bring up this movie because they don't make comedies like this anymore.
Well, I also think it's a comedy made by a guy who doesn't usually do comedies.
Good point. He literally did it on a dare.
Yeah.
So, like, a critic or something said, you can't write a comedy. All you do is these dramas. He's like, watch this.
Yeah, I think it's I guess another thing you could say was, like, Doctor Strangelove with, like, Kubrick, where it's, like, inherently Kubrick doesn't make comedy movies. Stanley Kramer doesn't make comedy movies. Or mostly he doesn't. I mean, he made these. They made these, but, like, there is a sense of, like, craftsmanship that you don't usually see from, like, a comedy movie. I mean, there are caveats to that where, like, there are directors that make mostly comedies, but, like, add artsy kind of touches, like the Coens. And there was another one. So there was another person I was gonna mention, but, like, not to that, like, extent where it's like, it has that very, like, 60s, like, arts or, like, art touches, and then also 60s comedy, which, like, you usually don't get, like, a good mash of the two.
Mm-hmm. And also just the stacked cast this one has.
Oh, yeah.
It is, and the different generations of comedic actors that it brings together. I mean, you have at least one actor in this film that literally did vaudeville.
Yeah, it has crazy stuff.
It's wild.
Isn't there another one with, like, Burt Reynolds or someone that's, like, kind of like this? Or I feel like we mentioned one that, like a long time ago that was. I feel like I remembered it, like, the other day because I was looking up Farrah Fawcett. Remember.
But we had a great viewing experience when we watched this for the first time.
Yeah,
with everyone, we all were laughing, and also I should add on, you never see stunts like this either.
Yeah.
In comedies, I mean, you see it sometimes, I guess now still, but I mean, very rarely. And the car chases and all the stuff they destroy.
It's crazy.
Some fantastic cameos as well. The Three Stooges are in here as the firefighters. What's the name of the actor? One of the actors
Mickey Rooney?
Right, him and the other guy are flying the plane and trying to land it. Debatably the best sequence in the film.
That's a pretty good one.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I found it. It's called The Cannonball Run.
That's right. And Roger Moore was in that too, I believe?
Yeah, it's Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, Jackie Chan, Sammy Davis.
Jackie Chan's in it?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Farrah Fawcett, Roger Moore, Peter Fonda.
Damn.
And there's a bunch of other, like, cameos.
Another stacked cast.
Yeah, there's that one, and then I think there's one from, like, the late 90s. It's kind of, I think it's literally, like, they marketed it to be, like, it's a Mad World of, like, the 90s. It's called, like, Rat Race.
I never heard that one.
I think one of the headliners is Whoopi Goldberg's in it. Apparently it's pretty good. I remember my parents had a copy of it, like, a billion years ago.
Interesting.
But I never watched it because I was, like, 6.
Yeah.
I was watching Labyrinth on repeat.
Yes. Then we have Alien, which also is a movie that can speak for itself.
Yeah.
Iconic science fiction horror film. Debatably, I don't know, is it debatably Ridley's? It's definitely in Ridley's top 3 of all time. I think pretty much everyone agrees with that, right?
Yeah. I think his top 3, like, consistently is, like, Gladiator, Alien, and Blade Runner.
Yeah. And usually people, Well, people definitely say it's his most revolutionary film. I think it definitely is his most revolutionary film.
Yes, I think it is. As just like the way it looks and like the way it feels, just it. There's nothing I think it really feels like it beforehand.
Yeah,
I honestly don't feel like there's a lot that matches it even after.
Mm-hmm. And it's aged incredibly well. All of the effects and everything.
Yeah, I mean, considering it's made in what 79 or came out in 79. Mm-hmm. The mix of like practical and like 70s effects still hold up really well today.
And you know, its suspense too is unbeatable. The way they develop suspense and everything is another highlight of the film.
Fantastic!
And it's fantastic. I need to rewatch it soon. It's funny. There'll be some movies where immediately after you talk about it, you're like, oh, I got to rewatch it now.
Yeah.
For me, this is one of those where you start talking about it.
Yeah, there's a feeling here I have to do that with.
Yeah. And then we have, what else do we have?
Dunkirk.
It's
a good Nolan movie.
Good Nolan movie. Nolan loves his time and dealing with time. I think it's so fascinating the way how he has those three timelines. One starts 1 day before the end of the movie, one is 1 week before the end of the movie, and one is 1 hour before the end of the movie, I believe.
Yeah,
it's something like that.
I think it's like the Tom Hardy section is like an hour or a few hours before.
I think the Tom Hardy section is an hour. It says 1 hour.
It's something
at the
like
beginning
that.
of the movie. Yes.
Yeah. Then I think the boat section is a few days, and then I think
the boat is 1 day, and the mole is a week.
That makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense because Nolan is definitely the king at managing time. I don't think that's controversial in any way.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Unfortunately, Tenet was, well...
What do you mean it's a masterpiece?
Has its issues, and we can get into that maybe at some point down the road, but...
I honestly kind of want to rewatch it. I haven't thought about it since it came out, honestly. Like, truly, sat down to think about it, but parts of me, I remember it's pretty dumb, but also part of me was like, it's honestly not as bad as I remember it being.
I think, us and Emerson and Austin, our two friends.
Yeah.
We kind of got caught up in just not necessarily hating it, but talking about all the negatives that we might have.
Yeah. I remember when it came out, I was definitely, I think I was the optimist of the group when it came out because I was like, listen, there are negatives, but I feel like I was the one who was just like, all right, let's be real here. It's still a cool movie. I don't think any other person could have pulled this off, or at least tried to. Emerson was still stuck in his ways. You were pretty good about it too.
I was, yeah.
Yeah. And I saw it twice in a week, and both times I was flabbergasted because it's awesome. I mean,
the Nolan, taking aside just plot issues, everything else is well done. The aesthetic,
it's such a cool idea.
Yeah, and first of all, talk about a technical feast. The way they managed to do all the reverse stuff and...
Yeah, I mean, as dumb as, the ending kind of is with, the pincer movement and, how much you can make fun of it, it's still cool.
Yeah.
There's no way you can't say that, the way that, they just, they coordinate two battle scenes. One's moving forwards and one's moving backwards. There's something so, weirdly genius about it. Mm-hmm. It's so cool.
Yeah. Next up, we have our boy, Daniel Craig, James Bond.
Yeah.
The best James Bond of all time. Not the most iconic. There's a difference, people. The most iconic is Sean Connery. Definitely the best, though. The best actor we've had playing a Bond character. And I think, Sean Connery's second in that regard. I think so. But, what more can you say? Some of the best critically responded to Bond movies and just best Bond movies start to finish in general. I'm particularly talking about Skyfall, Casino Royale, and I'm higher on No Time to Die than a lot of people, I think.
Oh, No Time to Die is great.
It is. I can't remember the critical response to that.
It's pretty high.
It was pretty high.
Yeah.
The critiques come from the fact that people responded to the movie as... Oh, well, I thought with Daniel Craig you were going to just kind of make it more realistic and toned down, and then you have No Time to Die, which is just basically I harp on this a lot, is essentially a Sean Connery Bond movie, but in the present day.
Yeah, it has. Well, it even like.
Or I guess, hold on, sorry, real quickly, to rephrase what I'm saying, the later Sean Connery movies, such as Goldfinger or something along those lines.
Yeah, it feels, some parts of the plot feel ridiculous, like in like terms of like a big evil plan kind of thing.
Right.
But also like there's part of it that's just like, there's like a tone shift, where it adds kind of more comedy, but also gets, but it also like levels itself out, where it's like it's a lot of the other Daniel Craigs of that time don't really go for like kind of jokes, so it's like it's interesting.
One thing I'm really interested about, and I was going to bring this up in Sauna Sunday, and maybe I will. I'll just mention it briefly. I am really intrigued when I rewatch Skyfall, because I have heard some people talk about how amazing that film is, and it is a great film. But I always thought Casino Royale. Well, I came around to thinking Casino Royale was better because I think I rewatched it more recently. But I'm interested because for a while I had Skyfall as I thought was better than Casino. But interesting when I rewatch it if I switch back to my original stance.
Yeah, I mean Skyfall's fantastic. I think I've always liked Casino more. I think Casino's always been top 3, if not my favorite. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I watched Skyfall a while after I watched Casino, and I think it's even after like multiple rewatches of Casino, I thought Skyfall held up really well.
I think it has the best villain performance of any Bond villain ever.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
Javier Bardem is incredible.
He's really good. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. I think like as a movie, it's simple, but it's also like, it has a different like feel, where it feels a little more straightforward, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's like there's a shift change that's really cool. I don't know.
And to cap our conversation on this here collection, I would say that my biggest takeaway and what I love, not necessarily biggest takeaway, but what I love the most is the fact that they just decided to finally do a linear film sequence with a Bond actor.
Oh, it's so
which
cool.
is great because it was much needed.
Yeah.
And then we have Rogue One.
Fantastic.
A lot of people consider it the best Star Wars movie of all time. Blade Runner. My favorite, or do you not think so?
For Star Wars?
There's a lot of people that consider this, at least from what I'm aware of,
To be the best?
to be the best, or at least their favorite.
Okay, yeah, I think for now, like, I think it is a lot of people's modern favorite. I think, and I can see it being like personal favorite, but I think calling it the best is a little bit of a stretch.
You still think that majority think it's Empire?
I think, yeah, I think nothing beats the classics.
Yeah.
I've always liked the original Star Wars the most, like the original 3.
Agreed.
And I don't think anything trumps those. So, I do think it's the one that and Revenge of the Sith are the next two, like the next phase, I think, of like my favorites. But I think calling it the best is a little bit of a stretch, at least in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just me.
All right. Moving on, we have Blade Runner. The original cut, first of all, I should clarify. My favorite movie of all time. Cult classic science fiction film. Harrison Ford. Honestly, sneakily, he's a top 5 favorite actor of mine. I was randomly curating a top 5 list, and Harrison Ford randomly snuck in there. His filmography. I was also paying attention to filmographies, and his and Tom Cruise stuck out to me.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They are diverse and, as TJ mentioned, fantastic. Variety of films. I mean, you could just rattle. I mean, The Fugitive, Witness, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. He plays frickin' Jack Ryan.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, he. Well, I mean, like he was such a big name at the time, and he has like such like charisma. It's hard not to love him, but and then it's just like, and then you realize just how much he has, and you're like, oh my god, it's insanity.
It is. His, what would have been, 80s run is
Yeah, like late 70s to like, I'd say like even like to 90s is really good.
Top 3 of the actors of the time? I would say so.
Oh, I'd say definitely.
I mean, I don't know what Cruise had, Cruise had The Color of Money.
Yeah, Top
Gun.
Tom Cruise was like mid 80s to like, I'd say like early 2000s was like his first big run because it was like more of his dramatic stuff. Mm-hmm. And he kind of goes into being more of an action star towards the end of that stretch.
So I would say you probably could put Harrison Ford as having the best run as far as movies are concerned of the 80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Prisoners, which I can't speak of because I haven't watched it. Depression, but TJ,
yeah,
great movie.
It's by Denis Villeneuve, 2013, I think. I think the same year as the one with Jake Gyllenhaal, Enemy.
Okay.
They came out the same year. I think it is one of my favorites by him. I think, no, it is not as big scale as Dune and 2049, but I think the intrigue and the mystery are like, it's like so just like good, and just like there's such good acting, and it has an amazing cast to it. Because you got like Paul Dano and Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard, and I'm forgetting everyone else, but it's like consecutively like absolutely amazing.
This for a while has been on my top of the watch list, definitely. Yeah. And then lastly we have, which I've already harped on, The Wonderful Lodge, Dutch Oven Cooking Basics with Diane Thomas, which again I've already mentioned my theory on Diane Thomas and her relation to Twin Peaks. I don't think we need to go any further there.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Oh, and then I have a little Easter egg here. We got the Magnum PI car.
Yeah.
My favorite television show of all time. The new Magnum PI got canceled because guess what? The main actor doesn't have the charisma that Tom does.
How long did it go for?
4 seasons.
Did it really? Mm-hmm. My God.
It's a shame. Nothing against Jay Hernandez, but I mean, you're dealing with an absurdly iconic TV character.
Yeah.
And an actor that had a ton of charisma and very unique in TV culture and TV shows. So it was already hard to do. And yeah. Anyway, that is that. We won't show you over here because it's not ready yet.
Yeah, it's not clean.
We'll what?
It says it's not clean yet.
Well, it's not clean, but it's not ready. Well, same thing.
Yeah.
We'll show it to you once we have some guests on the couch. We have a couch now. Well, we have a couch now because we've probably talked about it. What?
So we've always had a couch in here.
Well, I know, but yeah, because we've had guests here, so we'll eventually show you that once we have some guests over. But I think now is the perfect time to transition. You good, sir?
Yeah.
TJ was taking his anger out on the table because people are saying Val Kilmer is not the best Batman.
Oh, of course.
Which that is the transition. We are moving to Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, Nicole Kidman,
Chris O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell. Oddly a stacked cast, I guess, in a certain sense, but didn't necessarily transition to the screen, I guess.
What are you talking about? I love this movie.
TJ, what is... Well, first of all, we should give them the overall context for choosing this film, because some out there might be wondering, out of all the films in the world, why did you choose Batman Forever? And my response to that would be, well, we're on a tight schedule, and TJ and I, we randomly sat down, what was it, last... Tuesday, to watch a film. Watch a flick. I haven't said that in a while.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, I don't know where that came from.
We picked Batman
And we picked Batman Forever, so we decided, what the hell? Let's talk about it for the Movie of the Week episode.
Yeah.
So here we are, talking about it. What are your overall thoughts, TJ? Is there something that, in pop culture that you want to point out, or about the movie?
I'll just give my overall opinion real quick.
Before I want to set some rules here. I'm going to contain you.
Oh.
Don't just go surface level because I have
That's
some
what
stuff
I'm
in
gonna
here.
do.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I hadn't seen this in 7 or 8 years, probably more than that. It'd been a hot minute since I've seen this movie. I just know I think it was one of the first, if not the first, Batman movie I think I've ever watched.
Interesting. All right, we had this conversation.
Yeah, at least like ones that I remembered. Like I know I watched the '60s movie as a kid like once. I didn't remember it until like I watched it again later, and I was like, "Oh, I've definitely seen this before as a kid." But this was like the first one I remember watching in like 7th grade. This and Batman and Robin were the first two I watched. Honestly, I kind of enjoyed this movie. As a movie, whatever, give or take. It has its moments. But I will say, I mean, it does have its problems. A lot of problems. And I don't think it matches up to like the Burton movies. Like I think those are like consistently better. But I will say, I liked it more than Rush Hour 3, which we watched like 2 days before.
I would agree. I don't want to jump on Rush Hour 3 right now because we're talking about Batman, but the one thing I'll mention is, and I actually kind of like this movie, this is a hint for things to come, what we're talking about. Rush Hour 3 opened to promise.
Yes.
I loved how unfiltered, what's his name? Chris Carter, right? Or
Chris
no,
Tucker?
not Chris, yeah, Chris Carter's a football player. Chris Tucker was how unfiltered his character was in the opening, and I thought, and you had the iconic scene where you're talking about the, I'm me. It had that iconic scene, and it gave me hope for the rest of the film because I thought they could have continued with that quality in the jokes and everything, but yeah, it didn't live up to the other two.
For me, I think from the opening, I was like, I don't like this that much.
Oh, really? From the opening?
Yeah, I think from the first like 15 minutes, I was just like, I don't like this.
Interesting.
It was funny, and Chris Tucker was being Chris Tucker, but like the action felt different. It felt more tame.
Yeah.
It just didn't. It felt a little. It just felt like it was like trying to be a 2000s comedy more than it was trying to be a Rush Hour movie. And sometimes that was really funny, and sometimes it was really dumb. And I was just like, and then it kind of just kept going, and I was like, whatever.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it though, but I think I was just like, I definitely don't like this that much.
Mm-hmm. Ditto to what you're saying. My hope lasted a little longer, but yes, I mostly agree. I basically agree with what you said. Back to our movie, Batman Forever. Oddly enough, the opening gave me hope because this was my first time watching this film. I am a huge Batman fan. He is my favorite. It depends on the day. I've said this before. It's either him or Spider-Man. That's my favorite superhero of all time. And I was very optimistic, especially after watching the opening, because it had a lot of action to it.
Yeah.
Had some comedy, and I thought the set pieces were actually quite cool, especially nowadays when a lot of that would be CG. Yeah. And there was some obviously CG effects, I think, in there.
Oh yeah.
But I'm talking about the vault, right?
A lot of that looks very practical. It's
very practical, and that gave me some hope for the rest of the film because going in, I knew that people hated on this film.
Yeah, it's a very iffy movie.
It's a very iffy movie, but once that first opening sequence happened, despite the random Nicole Kidman Batman sort of dialogue that felt very out of place, besides that, it had me very optimistic for what would continue.
Yeah.
But then I slowly started to realize why people are not a fan of this film, and again, for good reason.
The opening of this one it's actually pretty fun. Like you can tell off the bat that it's by different people or like a different director.
It's definitely not Tim Burton.
Yes, it's produced by Tim Burton, but you can tell immediately that someone new, aka Joel Schumacher, the new director, got his hands on it because everything that like makes Tim Burton's Gotham is immediately wiped away. Because like his thing is like it's very dark and grungy. It's very similar to like Matt Reeves's, where it's like not a lot of light, but like there's also like Tim Burton architecture in his, where it's like weird buildings, but also it's like gothic. This movie, in terms of Batman Forever, lots of color immediately, lots of like just neon, green, pink, purple, whatever, and it's just like, whoa.
Well, yeah, again, what you kind of hinted at your reaction. My reaction, at least at first, was I was actually pleased with that because
it doesn't look bad, but it's just like compared to everything else, it's just like it's such like a difference.
No, I didn't think it was bad either. I thought they managed it well, and oddly enough, it was sort of refreshing. Nothing against Tim Burton's Batman movies. I love them.
Yeah.
The first Batman is in my top 3 Batman movies of all time. But there is a sense of having a nice refresh with the scenery.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's not a bad thing. It's just like it's very different than every other take on Gotham. Where every other take on Gotham, it's grungy, it's darker. No matter if you're watching Batman Begins, the Batman, like all those, other than like the 60s and the Joel Schumacher movies, they're not colorful. But this movie, it's very colorful and like it's cool looking. But it's just like if you don't remember, it can either take you off guard for a second. You're like, this is Gotham City, but I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. The other thing I'll mention is we forgot to check the camera, and we are 7 minutes over. So that is an issue. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and things will be all good.
Sounds good.
All right.
We're back.
We're back. Back to our very lively
Batman Forever talk.
I'm talking about as we ended with the color palette.
Yes. Yeah.
At the beginning, I would say for the first, actually fourth, I was pleased with where it was going.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was too much, but it added some nice flavor to it. I really liked anytime you have a combination of, I don't know what it is for me, purples and reds together. They have this in Top Gun in the opening when there's the guys on the aircraft carrier and it's opening with Tom and everything, with Maverick. Anytime you have that combination of colors, I don't know what it is, and pinks too. Cool. It just immediately grabs me. I'm in. I don't care what it is. I am locked in and ready.
Yeah.
And this had that. It was just it was a pleasure to see that. And just it just felt like a nice opening. I could really grapple what was going on and kind of understand. And I also like it because it showed us, guys, this is not Michael Keaton. This is not Michael Keaton's Batman. This is, I guess we were trying to be somewhat similar still, but guys, this is a different movie.
Yeah, it's very much not Tim Burton, what you know so far.
And they literally just blatantly show that right at the beginning. They're not even there's no copycat that's trying to go on.
Yeah, like it's like the first like minute is kind of like maybe this could be it, and then it's just like the first lines of the movie are a joke. And it's just like, this immediately does not feel like Michael Keaton.
That's a good point. The dialogue is not very good in this film.
What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
That is a clear drop off.
Yeah.
It's...
Actually, I want to see who wrote this.
Even on the bad parts of the film, it still feels like the dialogue is creating hiccups.
Oh, yeah.
In it. I mentioned the awkward Nicole Kidman moment. Not only does it make no sense with how the action is unfolding in the opening, it also, the dialogue itself just also makes no sense, it feels like.
Yeah.
What's going on, it's it's very unsettling in that regard. And it continues throughout the film with the two of them. One thing I have an issue with in the film is the film just throws both of them at you and says, hey, they have chemistry, when there was really no chemistry established in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just Nicole Kidman. Oh, I love Batman, and I guess that's why I have chemistry with him. But not really. You don't have chemistry with him. It's kind of unfortunate, I guess, too, for this film, because you're literally going right after Batman Returns, which has a fantastic chemistry between Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton. It's almost bleeding off the screen when they're together. It's very vivid. So seeing these two come right after does not help. And also, I won't leave it just to them, but also to the dialogue doesn't help with trying to form chemistry, because it's clunky.
It's very... I got the writer of the movie up.
Okay.
The guy who wrote this wrote A Beautiful Mind.
Best Picture winner.
Yeah. I Am Legend, The Da Vinci Code, I, Robot, the Da Vinci Code sequel, A Time to Kill, which is another Joel Schumacher movie, The Client, which is another Joel Schumacher movie. The last two are court movies, I think. Cinderella Man, another Ron Howard movie. Practical Magic, which I've heard is very popular. Then a lot of not good movies.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Transformers 5.
Okay.
The Fifth Wave, the Third Ring movie, the Lost in Space movie with, is it Gary Oldman? Yeah, Gary Oldman and Matthew LeBlanc.
Interesting.
The Dark Tower.
Our guy Joey.
Yeah. He's all over the map. Sometimes he's made absolute classics, and sometimes he's made absolute garbage.
The one thing you can say, though, is he's made a lot of money.
Yeah, he's made a lot of popular movies. I mean...
He's gotten himself a lot of work.
Yeah. And he's going to write another Transformers movie, it looks like.
Oh, is he writing the kind of 80s
It just
Transformers
says
design
Transformers
movie?
Optimus Prime.
Huh.
And then another I Am Legend movie. And I think he has two more set up.
Interesting.
One has Tom Hanks.
Huh. What did you think? What are your thoughts on the whole design, the set design of the whole Batcave and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I think
it was quite wacky still, but in a different way.
If we're talking the Batcave, it's very simple. The Batcave itself isn't honestly that anything too fancy. I mean, it's two little areas and the car area. Like it's nothing too special.
Very standard.
Yeah, it's kind of basic looking. But it looks good. But like a lot of the other set design, it's very interesting. Like Two-Face's house. And like the end,
and the whole Jim Carrey's the Riddler's character's sort of fortress house.
That's what I was about to say. Is the island at the end, or his house at like the beginning half of the movie.
Oh yeah,
or his apartment.
Yeah.
Like it's very like 6 TV monitors, but they're all at angles, and it looks like they're all like hanging off a tree. It's really weird.
I will say.
But it's cool in its own way.
That one I didn't... I see where you're coming from, and there is some truth to that. But I didn't actually... I was actually more intrigued by that set piece than confused and...
Well, it's not like confusion, but it's just wacky. It's out there. It's just bizarre.
I guess I should frame it as that one actually kind of felt normal given the circumstances with the Riddler character.
Yeah.
Because it I mean, the Riddler character does have that kind of vibe. I mean, we see it with Paul Dano's apartment, or Paul Dano's the Riddler's apartment. I honestly did kind of see some sort of similarities, if that's...
But, like, his is still... It's very much... Paul Dano's is, like, the apartment from Seven. Where it's dark and it's grungy and it's weird, but it's, like, psycho killer weird. His is just, like... It looks like something out of, like... Or Jim Carrey's looks like it looks like something out of the Tim Burton Willy Wonka movie, where or like something like that, where it's like the walls are all angular and weird. It doesn't feel like an apartment. It's just like it's how do I say this? It's weird, wacky like the rest of the movie, but it's like it's more low key.
Well, and I think it fits his character.
Yes,
more than
it does. Yeah. But like it's still like very bizarre compared to like everything else. Because like, I mean, Catwoman's apartment isn't like that, and I mean, it's very. I don't know.
I agree. I see what you're saying. Taking that away, the Batcave away. It's mostly, again, Two-Face's house.
Two-Face's house is something else.
And the Riddler, his and Jim Carrey's character's sort of fortress house combination is weird. Yeah. And feels janky, and it takes you away. Those set pieces really take you away from the illusion that kind of films are supposed to create. And you start wondering, and those are the set pieces that also help you realize, okay, so this is why the film is made fun of and isn't regarded as a better Batman movie.
Yeah. It's something.
It is something. What did you think of the Batmobile design in this one? I was not a fan.
Honestly, I mean, I don't think it's that much different than the old ones, other than like the back. I think
it's more cylindrical, though. Isn't it?
I don't remember the front looking. I just remember the back is. Oh, the back has more of a bat wing.
Yeah. Whereas,
but I thought the front kind of looks.
Michael Keaton's is more defined, and I guess angular. I mean, it's still. Yeah, it's more, but Michael Keaton seems to be more angular, while more defined, while
okay.
Val's
I remember this. Yeah,
it's more cylindrical, which I was not a fan of. And there's hints of blue in it too, isn't there?
Yeah, there's blue on the sides and the front.
Yeah, that didn't strike me. I was not a fan of it.
It looks kind of cool, but also not that cool.
I like Michael Keaton. I think Michael Keaton's is way better.
It looks like it looks very similar to Michael Keaton's in that like it has kind of like the base shape of it, but like and then they did the same thing that they kind of did with a lot of the other colors, and where they were like add color somewhere.
I mean, Michael Keaton's Batmobile is more similar to the Batman animated show's Batmobile then.
Well, yeah, those movies inspired the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, it's before, so. And it's very much like a Tim Burton-esque kind of look, like, or at least like for the movie, like those movies look like they inspire a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that's true.
89 Batmobile.
So your take on not the new Batmobile, on Val Kilmer's Batmobile is it's fine?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Okay.
I think, I mean, where this one's all, like, where Michael Keaton's is all black and it's cool. And it's very, like, I mean, look at it. It's cool.
Yeah, oh yeah.
His is more color and it's fancy, and there's like bats in the wheelbase.
Yeah, it looks more gimmicky.
It does,
to me.
Yeah. It looks more goofy. It looks like a torpedo that they stuck wheels on, and weird wheel belt, like weird wheel wells that like look like bridges.
Adam West's Robin, if he saw that, would say, "Holy heart attack, Batman! What the hell is that?"
Pretty much, yeah.
I think you would say the same thing for George Clooney's bat suit as well.
You could say that about the whole movie.
That's true. That's a good point.
You haven't even seen it.
One thing that I was actually pleased about from beginning to end is Val Kilmer as the Batman.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of the acting is decent. Or I think most of the acting in this movie is decently kind of acceptable.
Yes, on a lower level, I had this issue with the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. You have a good actor, and he plays, as far from an acting perspective, plays that character pretty decent. But the problem is when you're met with poor dialogue,
it doesn't help.
Very few actors can carry a film that has poor dialogue. That's just bottom line. And I feel like if Val Kilmer actually had suitable dialogue, he would have been talked about in a higher light and with the movie overall.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer... Sorry, you go ahead, TJ.
Oh, yeah. I think the best thing I can relate this to is X-Men Origins Wolverine. In the sense that, in the grand scheme of things, great actors leading it. It has some very good talent behind it. Writing-wise, it's an absolute joke. But you can tell that the people behind it are trying to carry it in a very new fashion. Where X-Men Origins is... And like with X-Men Origins, like Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber, they're actually pretty good in it. I'll give them that. I mean, the dialogue is absolute shit, but they're actually pretty decent, and everyone else is just funny bad. That whole movie is an absolute ball.
I need to get into the X-Men movies. I haven't seen a single one, actually.
For shame.
I know.
Yeah, I love them. There's some really good ones. Like, I love Days of Future Past and Logan and stuff like that. Regardless, kind of like bringing that back is like, this movie has that where it's like, some of the dialogue is just like, it's bad. It's bad. But there's like charm to it. And you can tell that the people behind it are kind of trying to make it something decently acceptable. Val Kilmer and I think Jim Carrey especially. I think they kind of carry that energy. Tommy Lee Jones is something else, though.
That was probably my biggest casting issue. And it's partially my own fault, I guess, because when I look at Tommy Lee Jones, I think of a policeman or a U.S. Marshal, sheriff.
Yeah.
A very straightforward figure. Basically, I'm saying this because of The Fugitive and No Country.
Yeah.
But and another thing that's weird about Tommy Lee Jones for me is he's one of those actors where no matter how old he is, I just think he's old.
Yeah, he always looks like that, yeah.
No matter how young he is,
like
I
Paul
just
Rudd
think...
was being young.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just think, okay, that dude has been in his 50s for 20 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that doesn't translate well to the Two-Face character, and some of his reactions to the thing that Jim Carrey says feels
hilarious.
He feels like an alien that's trying to adapt to human culture, to the way humans speak and laugh and talk. That's what he looks like, because he does it in a very poor manner.
Yeah,
and it's just. I guess it's an experience, man. It's art. Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely the most interesting performance in this movie. Yeah, because I mean, Val Kilmer is doing Val Kilmer things. He's pretty good. Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey.
He literally, I have this in my notes. I still believe after watching the film, he was the perfect casting for the Riddler.
Yes, for that version of the Riddler.
For that version of the Riddler, and
fantastic.
that time, the 90s, where Jim Carrey is at his peak, it was a perfect casting.
It's Jim Carrey. How can you go wrong with, like, especially for that time? Like, someone who's absolutely off the wall goofy.
Yes.
Jim Carrey is the man for that, I think, in any decade. I mean, Chris O'Donnell is okay. He's okay.
I felt he was more of a honestly showpiece in the sense that
he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything, and I feel like Joe Schumacher wanted him there just to not necessarily calm down the audience, but let the audience know, oh yeah, Robin is still here. Robin is still here.
I feel like he felt like kind of a last minute addition sometimes.
Yeah,
or at least like, well, I mean, I think they originally said this movie's like the original cut of this movie was like 2.5 hours long.
Right, it was 240.
240,
I believe.
So they cut like 30 or 40 minutes off this movie, and I feel like a lot of that must have been Robin time because he is severely underdeveloped for a long time in this movie.
One thing I wish DVD sets and Blu-ray sets, 4K sets would do is just naturally include a director's cut. Because I find those very interesting.
Well, that's one thing that has been talked about recently, where it's like with the release of like the Snyder Cut and all that. I mean, the Suicide Squad movie is people are behind that. But one I've seen like kind of more low key is talked about Batman Forever.
Really?
I have seen a few of those where I'm like, that's interesting.
I'd be down. I'd watch it.
Yeah, and or kind of like see some of that original stuff because apparently originally some parts of it were a lot different too. Like it was a lot darker. Because like I think we talked about it. Like they had like a whole different opening, and they had like weird like humanoid bat things, and it was just like super weird stuff, but like that never made it into the final product. That like would have made it definitely interesting. I mean, we didn't get the H.R. Giger Batmobile, but whatever.
Oh my gosh. Look that up.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know who H.R. Giger is, he's the guy who designed the Xenomorph and Alien. And he's a well-known artist who makes really weird, like, demon-esque kind of artwork. Super well done. I mean, he's a classic artist for a reason. But I don't know why they asked him to do stuff for this movie. But he submitted a concept art for the Batmobile, and oh my god, it's something.
It scarred me. It scars me.
Like in concept, if it wasn't Batman and like it was more of like a weird sci-fi thing, oh my god, it would have been so cool looking. But for a Batman movie, it makes no sense.
After, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that you showed me this creation that this guy made, because whenever I think of the Val Kilmer movie, I'll think of that Batmobile because it literally, there is nothing like it.
Yeah, it's something else.
Just look it up.
It's fantastic.
You'll understand why my brain is just mush right now, because...
Put it up on screen.
Well, I don't want to get copyright issues. Otherwise, I would.
That's fair enough.
But...
Instead, Bit crush my voice. Right now.
Here, instead of putting it on screen, I will give you my best interpretation...
Of what it looks like?
Not what it looks... Okay. Of my reaction to... I will let you know what my original reaction to this vehicle was.
Yeah, it was depression. It was good though.
I just had one of those stare off to nowhere, stare off into nothing. Just
very rarely do I see that from you.
Yeah, I was basically speechless, and not for a good reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we covered a lot. The only other thing I'll mention, which I hinted at, was Nicole Kidman.
Oh, she's something in this movie. She's
something, and a decent amount of it is not her fault. Again, it's the dialogue and also just the way this movie was plotted, because she was there for the classic, damsel in distress for
Role.
Batman
Yeah.
because that's, I guess, what you need to have in Batman movies, which is okay, I guess, but just actually make it meaningful. Have her do something else besides being a damsel in distress and also just having terrible, terrible dialogue to ruin the almost non-existent chemistry between her and Val Kilmer, Batman, and she plays a therapist.
Yeah.
It was just not there. There's a whole, again, as I've just listed, a whole assortment of things that ruins that whole dealio. But yeah, it's and right from the get-go too, immediately you knew from the opening scene, okay, this is not going to go well. You're not a Michelle Pfeiffer Batman chemistry type of person, or who's the original girl in the Batman?
Oh, the first Batman?
Yeah. Why am I thinking Robin Wright? Is that correct?
No, it's Kim Basinger.
Oh, Kim Basinger, that's right. Why was I thinking Robin Wright? I don't know. Anyway, or her and Michael Keaton's character. I was just, again, it met the response that all these other people, these Batman fans and moviegoers had of this film. It met that.
Yeah.
Finishing up, TJ, where we talked about both our intrigue for Val Kilmer as Batman. Where do you rank him roughly among the Batmen?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't. Well, are we talking like just Batman, or are we talking like Bruce Wayne in there too, or like?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, incorporate both of them.
Okay, if it's both together, I might put him like near the middle, because I think, although he only has one movie, and yes, it's goofy. I think him as Bruce Wayne, in my honest opinion, it's one of the best. I think he has the look. He
definitely has that. The unspoken charm.
Yes, he has the look and the charm, and like he just looks like he could play a Bruce Wayne type. Especially like
he pulls off the rich playboy persona.
Yeah, they take like the look of like what they do with him in like Batman '89 with Michael Keaton, but it looks more playboy philanthropist kind of look.
You do bring a good point. Honestly, he pulls off, at least from a superficial perspective,
like the fancy rich guy, really well.
He plays it off better than Michael Keaton does.
Yeah. And I like the one scene where he's like going through his like lab at his building, and he meets Jim Carrey. Like the way he like carries himself through that scene is really cool. And I think as Batman, he's still pretty good. He kind of carries that like Michael Keaton energy that I think is really well done.
Again, I hate this. We have two missed opportunities in the 90s. We have, so far, that I've come up with. We have Val Kilmer not getting good dialogue.
Yeah.
And we have Pierce Brosnan not getting great movies. Besides GoldenEye, really.
Yeah, for Mr. Bond.
And even with GoldenEye, the dialogue is still can be lackluster for him.
Yeah, it's very 90s.
Yeah.
Is the best way to describe it.
Gosh darn it, 90s people. You should have got your act together. Come on.
It was a very different time.
That's true. Fortunately, we still got good movies.
Yeah.
Fortunately. We got Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
In the second Batman movie. And other things of that nature.
Yeah. Though I will say, though, I've never seen Superman 3, but I think this one holds up better than Superman 3. And the fact that I think people actually remember this movie, or people don't remember the last few Superman movies.
To me, and I think part of that has to do with this Val Kilmer mystique.
Yeah.
Because he's always been a fascinating actor to me.
Yeah, he's Val Kilmer.
He's Val Kilmer. He's been in some iconic movies, Top Gun, Heat, this film.
Yeah.
But to me at least, it felt like he could have gone farther than he actually went.
Yeah.
I feel like there was more potential to him around the 80s and 90s that he didn't get that I wish he did.
Yeah.
And I think it is that mystique and intrigue that kind of holds up this film. And I don't know, there's very few actors that I have that fascination with.
Yeah.
And I just watched Top Gun. He's great in Top Gun. He does a nice job playing sort of the kind of poisonous and sort of the blonde-haired sort of evil guy that you'll always see in a film. You know, Johnny Lawrence, William Zebka is his name? Zebka?
Yeah.
He was kind of like the OG to establish that, sort of the blonde-haired antagonist.
Yeah.
And Val Kilmer does that well in Top Gun.
I have to watch Top Gun again. It's been a while.
Dude. Well, yeah, you'll have to rewatch it for
the new one.
For a new one, which we're both going to together with my abnormally tall brother.
Yeah.
But back to my little spiel here. I guess finishing it up is I really there's very few actors that get me in that way. In fact, he might be the only actor for me that has that
feel.
I have that feel towards.
Yeah, I think there's it's very interesting for this movie because like in the grand scheme of things, it shouldn't be as well remembered as it should be. Because I think, I mean, as a whole, it's not as well liked. It's dumb. It's like camp. It's weird and campy. Like it's a series that wasn't campy and weird to begin with. But like, I think that's the thing with like the later Batman movies is like, there's this weird intrigue about them. With like with Forever, it's like with Val Kilmer, and it's like the introduction of Robin and Jim Carrey and stuff like that. It's just like this movie's like weirdly good, like put together. But the Batman and Robin, I mean, it's Batman and Robin. It's like one of the best bad movies ever.
Well, what do you mean? Well, what do you mean by well put together?
I mean, like it pulls in a famous new director at the time, and like it should be like in the grand scheme of things, it should be like better than like I think it came out to be, and I think that's part of the reason why people there's like this intrigue of like I think or at least that I've seen it's like what went wrong. Like you have such good people behind it. You have an all-star cast. You have a director who's like made banger movies. I mean, The Lost Boys is one of the best cult movies ever. It's like stuff like that. Like, and you get a guy who did like a bunch of good like court dramas and stuff. The camera turned off again, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Continue with your spiel.
And stuff like that. Where it's like, but where was I going with that? In the end, I guess
it just had the potential.
It has potential, and yeah, where people remember Batman and Robin because it's like really shitty, but that's why people love it. I guess that's why people remember the later Batman movies more than like the later Superman movies. Whereas like the first two Superman movies are classic. You get Terrence Stamp as Zod. You get Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Christopher Reeve, like all these big names doing big name things, and they're really well put together. Richard Donner does a fantastic job with the first Superman.
He is a Richard Donner, man. He knew how to handle blockbuster movies.
Oh yeah, he's a OG blockbuster king.
Yeah.
However, the 3 and 4 for Superman are barely remembered. 4, I think, is more so than 3. I think 3 is like the least popular, which is weird because it has like they add Richard Pryor, who was like really big at the time.
Yeah,
but the movie sucks, so no one cares. And then 4 is like funny because it's like Nuclear Man.
Okay,
they fight on the moon, and it looks like a fake '60s B movie set.
Okay,
it's so funny. The Quest for Peace is awful, but I haven't watched it all the way through. But like, there's something about like the later Batman movies that are just like so bad but so memorable. I don't know. There's no way of replicating it.
I think that is a good ending note. We both kind of put some pieces in there. Man, Val Kilmer. What a guy. Oh, I guess I should mention, because I didn't include this. I would agree. I would say middle of the pack as well.
Yeah. Like, I like him more than Ben Affleck.
Agreed.
And George Clooney.
Yes, agreed. The Batfleck fans are going to attack us.
I mean, I don't hate Batfleck, but
I'm trying to find them where they come from.
I think, for what I've seen, which is just the original cut of Justice League and Batman v Superman, I think he takes himself a little too seriously. Oh god, I just hit my mic. And I think I think there's two ends of the spectrum. He either takes himself too seriously, or he's trying to be campy. And then there's no in between, and they don't go well together. So if he had more consistency, he honestly would be pretty good. And I think he does have some pretty good moments. But I think there's this weird inconsistency between him that you can't really pinpoint some of his intentions all the time. Apparently he's pretty good in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the 4-hour one. Apparently they redeem him pretty well.
Okay.
I heard they actually redeem most people pretty well, especially Jason Momoa.
That one we got to get to soon.
I've heard the only person they really do dirty is Wonder Woman. Because she's kind of the surrogate for plot, and they kind of a lot of her points are just hey, stuff.
Interesting.
So she's the character who occasionally just gets, but
yeah,
compared to the original version, most people are a lot better.
Right. I remember a lot of people talking about the Joker scene.
Yes.
Because that one was expanded upon, or either expanded upon or introduced in Zack Snyder's cut, right?
Yeah. The epilogue is the Joker part. They added him in, or that whole section in, where it's a jury. It's another one that you've seen Batman v Superman, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, there's that dream sequence. You're halfway through where it's Batman in this wasteland.
Right,
and he's fighting a bunch of guys that ends with Superman killing him. It's another one of those scenes. But it has more more heroes in it than just Batman. And they show the Flash and that kind of look. I think Cyborg too. And then they showed Amber Heard, because originally she was going to be in more. But now that's not going to happen.
I'm interested to see what happens with this Aquaman 2 thing.
I heard they cut her out for most of the movie already. But
I have a feeling that's going to ruin the film.
Yeah, originally they cut... she's the main character in the first one. But I think as of a few weeks ago, they said she's down to 10 minutes in the movie.
Interesting.
Or less than. But I could see them trying to rewrite and cut her out completely.
Yeah. My only worry is, again, it could ruin the film.
I don't know.
Because she might be in some integral plot points or background stuff. I don't know.
They could just rewrite and reshoot some parts.
When is it slated now to come out? Do you know?
December.
Okay. So if they did reshoots, it would probably push it back, right? I imagine.
I think, James Wan and all the people making that have some an interesting task in front of them.
They do. They do.
Plus that's coming out against I feel like that's coming out against something big. So honestly, pushing it back wouldn't be a bad idea.
It wouldn't. Is there a Marvel film in December?
No, it's November.
November. What is in December then?
I think Avatar.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Which I don't think it'll make big superhero waves, but I think it'll still kind of have that intrigue to it.
Well, like Val Kilmer's Batman, I'm gonna go get some drive-through, and TJ's gonna go get some drive-through.
Yeah.
So we got to end this. We got to end this podcast here, but we will catch you on the next episode where we talk. What am I saying? We're going on our second adventure with the Sauna Sundays episode. We're going to talk about the Star Wars news that came out recently.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of see where the conversation takes us.
Sounds good.
We appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Manic Movie Misfits podcast. See ya.
See ya.